Sounds like something a VC would invest in. And you know what? We see a lot of interesting stuff that VCs, we see the TechCrunch articles of this company raised X million. I kind of want to break down for you how I think about those numbers when I read them in a TechCrunch.
Ooh, a
So,
little VC action. All right, let's go
yeah,
ahead and close out this tab, Ben, and we'll hand it over to you.
okay. Exciting VC math. All right. So when Noah raises his next round for big company and you're reading about it in TechCrunch, and Noah goes out and says, we raised 24 million. That's actually not the question the VC is asking. They're asking something else. The VC is asking, what percent do I get of the company? So that implies something, right? If we click into this math here, there's a kind of a formula we're thinking about, right? There is the valuation, the post-money valuation. And what that really is you take that investment, you divide it by the percent sold, right? So if Noah raises 24 million and the VC owns 20%, that implies there's an $120 million valuation for Noah's company. So what does that actually mean? Well, that means in 5 years, because the VCs don't care about today. They are thinking 5 years down the road, right? So if there's 120 million today, it's going to need to be 600 million in 5 years to get Noah's investors the return they need, right? So what does that actually mean, 600? Let's click into that. Well, that means is that the exit value, when he sells that company in 5 years, and he's going to have a lot of people bidding for that company, really underneath that is these two things, which is the future ARR, so the future revenue recurring, and then the exit multiple, right? And the markets determine the exit multiple. So let's click into this, right? So we can have this kind of low, medium, high of revenue, right? So we'll say the exit multiple is 10. Call it 10. It could be 12. It could be 8. But let's call it 10 here, right? So if we have $5 million in revenue, and that 10x multiple, that's a $50 million valuation. That is a bad outcome after 5 years, right? No one just had a $120 million valuation, just went down to 50 million, right? Okay, let's up that revenue. Let's get it to 20 million, right? Well, that's a 200 million valuation. Okay, that's not that great after 5 years. That's a mediocre outcome. But if he hits 60 million in revenue, that's a huge valuation. Noah just hit a home run for his investors. Target hit. Well, let's talk about how to get there, right? There is this thing we've all heard of, the valley of death, right? What does that actually mean? When you are traveling through to get to those big revenue numbers, you got to unlock scale, right? How do you do that? Let's click into that. So we all know you start in pilot land, right? Small revenue, non-dilutive revenue, SIBRs, sitters, right? You establish credibility, start to scale, start to move in, do some cool stuff with DIU, maybe win a phase 2, start focusing on phase 3. Hey, AppFit is out there. There's a bunch of these programs. These are just some, and you start scaling. You're waiting, you're biding your time until you hit the program of record, right? You've got a budget line plussed up. It is exciting, and you've won a program of record, but that can take 5 years. So let's think about how many programs of record you need to do, right? If you're going to get to some huge revenue number, well, there are only so many programs of record out there, right? You could win a $10 million program of record. That's a huge deal. You could win two $20 million programs of record. That is huge. But even if you do that, right, you take your 1 times 10, your 2 times 20, and the math here is wrong on my slide, excuse me, Noah, but we are getting to $60 million in revenue, right, to get him that $600 million valuation. I have to believe a lot of things here to come true, right? As an investor, when I'm thinking about underwriting risk, I am thinking that Noah is going to go out and win 3 huge programs of record. That is crazy, right? I trust Noah. He's amazing, but that is asking for a lot. So really a VC, they're not thinking every company's going to hit these things, and especially in the defense tech world, but maybe a 1 in 10 chance of hitting those home runs. So when you see those numbers, start to think about the journey of like, what is this implying about number of program of record wins? And that's how I think about it.
Thank you, Professor Ben.